Hello everyone, thanks for coming. This is our 13th Seattle Angel Conference.
Next will be ROSHUB with Alan Meekins presenting.
Hi, I'm Alan Meekins, the CEO of ROSHUB. ROSHUB is the cloud robotics platform. So some of the SAC alumni here may recognize me. I've been here before 2 years ago as a semifinalist, and happy to be here again today, giving you an update 2 years later. So in that time, I've raised a friends and family round, which has enabled me to grow my team. From there, we've actually built out a lot of customer interest, and we've built out the key strategic partnerships that will get us through our launch. So ROSHUB is a cloud for agile automation. We've built all the tools that are necessary to launch our product later this summer, and we're ready to build a build on the success of our sales pipeline throughout the fall. So robotics, clouds. A lot of people go to what they've seen in media to understand the robotics revolution right now. But so far, Skynet hasn't taken over the world, and I haven't seen two robots fall in love yet. So we have to look elsewhere for ideas about how the robotics industry will mature. And we can look to the IoT market. So the IoT is a representation of where the robotics industry will be in a few years. So how many people here have an Alexa? That's an IoT device. And IoT are devices that are showing up all over the world in a number of different types of applications. And this mirrors what we see in robotics. However, there's a couple of core issues that frequently come up when we think about the IoT and in robotics. So chief amongst both IoT and robotics are issues around security. In the IoT space, we found that it's actually a world of vulnerable things, really, when it comes down to it. There's a number of open exploits for just about every IoT device you can imagine. This article behind the scenes here was actually about the Alexa being essentially taken over by someone who just happens to be within wireless range. And consumers are saying today that privacy and security of their device is an important thing. And that'll be particularly important when robots are actually roving the sidewalks. So it's important for us to build the platforms that are needed tomorrow for these companies who are developing today. So the second issue that is particular amongst robotics is collaboration So there's, once again, a lot of challenges in the robotics space where we have to collaborate. And if we're not collaborating, then the fail-fast mythology of the startup world simply doesn't work for us. There's so many lines of code that are built into the products that are then used in robotics. So the collaborators have to be able to share what they're building. And the bottom line today is that robotics is neither friendly or intuitive or particularly easy, even though we're at the friendliest and the easiest point it's ever been. And then finally, the third issue that affects the robotics industry, and that was solved well in the IoT space, is the issue of scale. So roboticists are building fleets of equipment today, and they're building those fleets faster than they can actually manage them. And that growth in the raw numbers of the robot shipped is showing in our market today. So we're actually a mirror of the IoT space. We're here in yellow. That's the robotics industry. So we're actually cresting a $100 billion industry in 2019 going into 2020. And by 2022, we're talking about a $200 billion industry, of which 60% of those robots will be cloud connected to a platform like ROSHUB. So the cloud infrastructure is going to be key to managing those fleets that people are building faster than they can manage today. Oh boy. So once again, the questions in the robotics space are the solutions that we're actually providing today in ROSHUB around security, collaboration, and scalability. So ROSHUB is the cloud for agile automation. So let's dig a little bit deeper into what makes the robotics industry tick. So we're at a zeitgeist moment today in robotics where we're able to build robotic solutions faster because the software is very intelligent, the hardware is becoming affordable, and our prototyping tools are rapid now. And finally, the information about how to build robots is open source and freely available all around the world. So this is actually building the core platform and language in the same way that the software as a service industry relied very heavily on common cloud infrastructures like AWS and common mobile platforms like Android and iOS. That common language in robotics today is the robotics operating system. It's freely available and hosted on GitHub. You can go download it right now and start building your robots. It's been in development for over 10 years by a community of 18,000 highly experienced and skilled developers. And this is a photo from the Worldwide Conference a few years ago. And so we're actually seeing 20% annual growth in that developer community today. So the people who know the tools and have the jobs building robots. And so if all of them are speaking the same language, it ends up meaning that we're all working on this house's plumbing together. We're all patching the same holes, and we're able to move faster because of that work. So this is pushing into a whole new model in the robotics industry, which is robots as a service, where we don't sell the robots, we lease the robots. So ROSHUB has 3 target areas with customers. We start off with developers, those 18,000 people who are growing 20% year over year. And we make sure that they have everything they need to build their prototypes. We then work with OEMs who already have equipment out in the wild, and we help them monitor that equipment to help improve their supply, their upkeep contracts. And finally, the robots as a service market, which is emerging and we believe is going to end up accounting for a significant chunk of that growth going into 2022. They need a lot of continuous monitoring, continuous support. So if you look at just a smattering of robotics companies who are all speaking the same language of ROS today, 10 of the well-known companies are valued at over $1 billion already, and they're all building in the open source technology. So what those 10 companies didn't have the benefit of when they first started is the access to ROSHUB. So we actually run software on their robots, on their developers' laptops, and in the field to help them manage large fleets of robots. It's really fast to set up, and it's easy to enroll a new device. That's how fast it is. Simply scan of your Bluetooth, and then you're ready to go. So we've analyzed how much money it costs to develop solutions using ROS and to field large fleets. And it's easily above hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. For some customers, as much as $8 million to get to the end of their projects to connect the robots to the internet. And we found that we have a 25% savings on their R&D processes. So in order to span the space of developers, OEMs, and robots as a service operators, our cost must model what they're willing to pay. So we're able to enroll people for as little as $5 and scale up to $1,500. And that's just on the subscription cost. The other side of the equation is about how much data do these robots use. So some of the robots that and companies we're talking to, they're moving as much as 400 mobile phones worth of data every month. So you can imagine their data plan is going to be rather expensive. So we actually have a 100% markup on the ability to move, store, and retransmit their data. And so that gives us 2 revenue streams, and that should allow us to reach a break even on revenue by the end of 2019. So not only is ROS about the software, it's also about the people. And if you analyze the network of ROS, and this is actually a graph of the market research that we've done with our sales leads and how we're connected to them and how they're connected to us. And we found that we're actually very well connected to them because of the open source work that we do. So we have a really wonderful team, and I'm very happy to have the team here with me today. We have actually Louis, our developer on web development. Today is his first day at work. So competition, what are the other solutions out there? Well, right now the existing IoT market simply doesn't apply to mobile robotics. You can't take the sensors from Particle and buy their circuit board and build a robot out of it. It's just not the right tool. And then our 3 other competitors, they're all focused on very specific enterprise verticals, and they don't apply to the broader market of developers, OEMs, and robots as a service markets. We're the only one who can apply to all 3 categories on day one. So once again, we're experiencing in the robotics market explosive growth, 100% increase in the money spent in robotics today. Most of that increase is being driven by cloud services and training. And over the next 5 years, by 2022, we'll actually be a $200 billion market, where 60% of the robots sold in that market are connected to the internet. So once again, we have the solution ready to go today. We have 1 technical milestone left to get finished. So we'd love to take you all on this journey with us and launch this product. All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Javier. I am part of the due diligence team from SAC for ROSHUB. I'll begin by saying that many of us that come from the technology world, employees from Microsoft, and Amazon, and Google, are incredibly excited about robotics and the technology that ROSHUB is building. I think one of the signs that we really liked about ROSHUB is that what you're building is so valuable that you have developed this deep partnership with another company in the robotics space, which is Vivid Robotics. Can you tell us a little bit about how that is working out?
Yeah, so we originally approached Vivid about becoming a customer, and when they fully understood what we were building and how it would be used in their product line and all the lifetime of their business, they immediately realized that our trajectories were lockstep, and so they actually decided to become an investor rather than a customer. So they're actually invested about $100,000 worth of space, of office space, and we're expecting a $100,000 cash contribution later this month.
Yep, and another thing that was really exciting was when we talked with some of your end customers, how they were really raving about the product, and they explained to us why cloud robotics, robotics for cloud makes so much sense for all of these robotics companies.
Yeah, and it's the interesting problem that we've noticed ourselves. So I actually came up with the idea for ROSHUB while doing robotics consulting work, and I actually sold a software package to an intermediary who then shipped those robots to the European Space Agency. And literal rocket scientists took more than a week to get their robots connected to the internet and working well within their own facility. And we said there's something wrong here. And that's exactly why our customers love us, is there's not enough people who've spent that time in the robotics market to make things more intuitive and easier to use.
And how big would you say that market is, as robotics as a whole?
Yeah, so robotics as a whole, I think this exact moment we're at something like $80 or $90 billion of annual spend in that market. So that's everything from, and today the market is dominated by over 50% is sales of actual hardware. And so what we're saying is that market is expected, if you look at IDC and Gartner and all these other industry analysts, they're saying that our market is going to be cresting $200 billion in 2022. And so, and they're also saying that the growth is not in more sales of hardware, but it's actually in the add-on services, making those pieces of hardware do more interesting tasks. So if you look at the physical robot, that's a great example of where you don't have to build hardware to be able to innovate on the software. And so once again, by adding that cloud component to this, it makes it possible for people to deploy larger and larger fleets.
Yeah. Maybe that's an opportunity for a partnership with another SAC finalist. So some of the questions that were still, on which we had a few open issues during the diligence process were, what is the timeline that goes from where you are right now through shipping a product and then realizing revenue from services?
Yeah, so at this point, we expect to be in market in August. So we're essentially going to do a quiet beta launch in August, and that will be our first revenue. It will be in August-September billing timeframe. And then so as we have a couple of customers who are ready to sign up, and I'm happy to talk to people, individual investors directly about some of those key partnerships. But we have a number of partners who we know are going to sign up immediately, and they're going to be testing about a fleet that's roughly 1/10 the size of what they expect to deploy in 2019. So for the vast majority of our customers, I don't think there's not a customer today who's not expecting to 10x their usage of our cloud over the next year. So essentially, as soon as we get that revenue stream turned on, we need to maintain extremely high quality. We can't fail fast in this industry.
Makes sense. If I understood right, you and your co-founder are still doing most of the selling, talking with prospect customers and partners. Are you planning to bring at some point maybe somebody to do business development or sales, or what does the team expansion plan look like? Yeah,
we absolutely expect to bring on a technical sales lead. And actually, Sarah is the start of our marketing and sales team as it is right now. So we absolutely do expect to continue to grow that part of the business as well.
And I think the last question that I wanted to hone in is, you showed us how some of the companies that are already competing in the robotics space are really well funded. So what is going to be what do you expect are going to be the main challenges and the opportunities for ROSHUB to also compete in that space?
Yeah, so I think the cool thing about the cloud market is that you can run services incredibly efficiently. And really what you saw with those large investments are in the R&D cost. And I mean, luckily or sadly, we've already we footed the bill for most of that R&D cost. So it took me from 2014 to get to where we are technically now today.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is John Seacrest. We help create new angel investors with an experiential program for learning angel investment in an exciting, interesting way.